Hey everyone, this is Anthony, and I have Andrew with me, and welcome to the Gym Owners Podcast. Andrew's a brand new gym owner, and this is a little bit different because his gym isn't quite up and running yet. He's almost there, but it started off where he called me up and was kind of interested in starting a gym. Andrew, why don't you give a little brief intro about yourself and what made you like? How did we first meet?
Yeah, so we first met, I believe it was actually from Steven Harvalias with Super Fitness. I saw his Instagram and he was talking about your software and how great he is and how he used it for his own gym. So that's actually where I first saw Gym Insight and reached out to you. And from there, I got to say, you're, one of the most helpful people I've worked with thus far, just because, you're selling a software, but the amount of, consulting and help you've given me along the way has been great. And yeah, so thanks to you and all these other resources, I've been able to learn a ton about just, the steps of opening the gym before the doors opening, operations afterward. And yeah, the main reason I'm looking to open the gym is, like everyone else that wants to, I have a passion for it. And that mixed with, just some entrepreneurial spirits I've had since I was a little kid, just running a landscaping business and all sorts of things throughout high school. I just felt like it's the perfect fit. And nowadays, especially, it's just becoming so popular, and especially even just for, socializing in and of itself. It just the amount of people turning for the gym versus, just going to bars and that sort of thing is just kind of crazy to see. So I think it's probably one of the best times that there is, to start a gym in this sort of business. And yeah, I figured now's the time. So why wait?
I couldn't agree with you more. I've never seen a boom as big as it is right now ever. It probably rivals, if not more, than the '80s boom with Jack LaLanne. I swear, it's never been as big. And Steven's a great guy. I know he gives advice as well, like how I give advice, even not, besides software. I know he does as well. But the one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you on here, you're 23 years old. You're starting a gym. So many people want to own a gym or they have the dream of owning a gym, but they just don't take the first steps. So I believe when we called and I was giving you steps, what you need to do, what was the first step? Get your LLC done, right? Wasn't that, if I'm mistaken?
Yeah, no, actually, it's funny. I actually leave this thing right here. I got my steps written down.
Hey, show that to the camera.
So there's a lot of stuff that's not on here, but these are the main ones, the LSC and the EIN. Sorry, it's not. There we go.
Yeah. Go ahead, read them off because I know it's big and off there. So
But
the
yeah,
first step was LLC.
yeah. So again, there's a lot more steps and this is just the big things, but acquiring the LOC and then getting the business EIN, just so, of course we could be taxed to stay legal. And then in my opinion, these next are one of the biggest ones, which is first to acquire the loan. And the second is the
SBA.
lease. And of course,
Yep.
I'm going in the order loan and lease because I don't want to dig myself in a hole where I actually, I'm able to sign a lease, but then I'm required to pay X amount per month and I don't have the funding to cover that. So
Sure.
that's kind of why I'm strategizing it like that. And then once I acquire the lease, that's when I'm planning on actually getting the business license from my locality so I can operate. And then from them, I'll probably go and integrate QuickBooks so I can start, doing my bookworking and all that.
Sure.
And a lot of other things, of course, have to happen. But then the last thing I just have on here was grand opening because, that's exciting when the doors
Yep.
actually up.
So that first step is probably the scariest for anybody that's never owned a business. Tell everybody was it a hard process for you? How long did it take? What was it like getting your own LLC? Because there's a lot of people that always want to own their own business, but that's the first thing that blocks them.
It's funny you say that because I was thinking about doing that for like a solid month and I just kept putting it off. And because I was like, that's when I almost feel like I'm kind of committed and all that. And one day I was just like, just screw it. I'm just going to do it. And it went to the website. I'm here in Virginia. So I just kind of went Virginia LLC, went to the government website on that. And I'd say 30 minutes later, I was done with all the paperwork. And of course it takes, maybe 2 business days till you actually get your certification and all that. But
Sure.
30 minutes of work, if that. And that was also too, because, I probably could have done it sooner. I just had to check on, they ask, how you want to file your taxes and all that. But no, I mean, it's simple and that kind of starts the process. I mean, it's all momentum. So
Yep.
just that one little step kind of is what made it real per se.
Yep. That's perfect. I'm glad because so many people call me up to like, I don't know. I guess they're doing like a business plan, so they're trying to get
Mhm.
software costs, and I'm just one of the steps along their business plan. But I always tell people like, if you're serious, I'll do a full consulting with you. I'll help you, but you have to show me you're serious. Like, get the
Mhm.
LLC first, and then start at least looking at places. I think the next you reached out, I gave you cars information, so this way they can pull up the listings and see. So if I didn't tell you about car, because a lot of people just think, "Oh my god, I can't afford that." And like, there's no cost to you. They just make sure you don't get a bad deal on a lease.
Mhm.
Tell a couple people what your experience with car, what is it, and how's everything going so far?
Car's great. So they're nice. They specialize specifically in, gyms and doctor's office, dentists, veterinary offices, just kind of things like that. And I believe their main reason for that, they were saying, is this gyms and those sort of businesses kind of, tend to get screwed over and leases. The landlords, they know those are sort of businesses where there's going to be consistent money coming in on a monthly basis. And, they can upcharge your rent a good bit. So it's nice to have a company like Cart specializes in that. They know the market, they know kind of what you're looking for and all that. And another thing they do, they only deal with, I guess, the buying and or leasing side of things. That they don't represent any landlords or sellers or anything like that.
Yep.
But it's just kind of nice because that they're on your team and they specialize in exactly what you're looking for if you want to open a gym. And I think they are crucial for many reasons. And I know you've done a podcast with them in the past. And I think if honestly, if you hit a couple points here, that would be great for people to listen on because I know there's a lot of things in there that landlords will throw in their contracts. Things that will make it where it would be hard if you ever wanted to sell your business or certain things with, acquiring new pieces of equipment and other things like that. If you don't mind sharing on that, I think that'd be interesting for people.
Let's do that, because a lot of people, it's their first ever. Like, this was your first lease. I'm sure if you would have just signed the lease right off the bat without them looking at it, you might have found yourself into a certain spot. Like, sometimes the lease increase isn't always tied to a number. Like, it could be tied to the CPI or price inflation, the inflation, and you can be really in a bad spot if you don't look that over. So, what are some things maybe they found or looked, or that was beneficial when talking with them?
Yeah, I think that was a big one too. Making sure that the lease is, it's a fixed percentage every year for the increase where you can pretty much just have it on paper and there's no surprises or anything like that. And another thing that's huge is my car agent was telling me that they've also seen it in the past where in the fine print, the landlord will have a percentage of ownership in your business as well, which
No
is
way.
yeah, which is just crazy. I mean, I don't know how that would ever even work out, but I think they'll just they'll hide things in there like that so they can profit off of it and just hope you never notice things like that. But yeah, no,
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, how many, like, yes, some people have a lawyer to look stuff over, but how many people, it's their first ever time, they're like, I can afford a lawyer, and they don't know what the word, and they just sign it, because we're so used to, like, you download an app, there's pages and pages. What do we all do? We just scroll to the bottom and do
mhm,
that. And like, we're all conditioned to do that. And if this is your first lease, like, I bet there are some people that'll just scroll to the bottom and sign it. Like, oh my lord. And then the HVAC, like we talked about,
mhm.
sometimes it's included, sometimes you are 100% responsible. So you want to have a person look at the units, because if there's multiple units, that could be a big issue if they go down.
Yeah, multiple units, and also, and I think another big factor is the insulation on it too. Because if it's in the middle of the winter, it's not insulated well. Your heat bill could just be doubled like that. So I think that's all very important.
Yep, 100%. So, are you getting close? So, I know we were looking at the two buildings, and we're not going to say where they are or anything, but were you looking at the one that I was suggesting with the big wall, or were you looking at the other spot?
Yes, right now I'm looking at that one you were suggesting, and it's a it's a sticky situation. I was trying to get around because you have one building that's a little smaller. It has awesome curb view off the major road, or you have this other one that's a little bigger. Build out would probably be a little easier, but it's kind of tucked back in a shopping center where there is a grocery store by. So I think you have to weigh your options. You have the one by the grocery store. There's a lot of foot traffic constantly, but you're not going to get any. traffic from the road itself, which I think, could be huge just for the amount of volume you would get. And then, yeah, the other one right off that major road, I mean, I think that would be a sweet location because it's still in kind of a strip mall. And if you don't remember me telling you, there's the other big unit about 3 units down, and they're
Yeah.
also considering putting a Trader Joe's there, which would just be awesome because, I mean, a high dollar grocery store, those people don't mind paying for a gym membership, and they tend to have healthier foods there. So I think, yeah, a lot of interesting factors to look for, but I think both are still solid options.
I love a grocery store. I love a Walmart because people are already
Mhm.
parked. There are
Right.
a lot of people that are already parked, and then it was always on their mind, "Oh, I do need to join a gym. Okay, we're parked. I'll take a look at it." Off the road is good too. Sometimes I guess you'll have people that are driving by, and if you have balloons out or have a good sign, they may just,
Mhm.
stop in. But I think you would get more foot traffic from a high volume store next
Mhm.
door because people are already parked. They're right there. Think about you might be able to set up some cross promotion with a store, spend $100, get a free month at my gym if you're a first time guest or anything like that. That's Trader. If you are 100% sure about the Trader Joe's, I would go with that one because
Mhm.
that's more healthy food. People that are going there, like you said, they're used to spending more money than going to like an Aldi's or a Food for Less or something like that. Like
Mhm.
that's the type of the clientele you want that is willing to spend more on a specific item that's already on the market.
Mhm. Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay. And I know, yeah, you mentioned Steve. Steve, I always recommend him for equipment. I thought I recommended him after you were getting equipment from someone. I told you to reach out to Steve, and he ended up talking to you for a while. That's the other reason why I recommend him. He's like he doesn't just blow people off. He is huge. He has 700,000 subscribers on YouTube, and yet you can call up his business, and he will still take the time and talk to you about running a gym. Like how long did he end up talking to you for about equipment and his ideas of what you should put in the gym?
I've spoken with him about twice now, and both were about 20, 30-minute phone calls. And
Wow.
he, he's very knowledgeable, and the enthusiasm he has for you, he's an awesome guy to talk to. And I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of research on other, facilities similar to him, but I'm not sure there's many places like that where if I just wanted to outfit an entire gym, I could go to his place and leave with the equipment same day. I mean, it's crazy everything he has, from all sorts of old, unique, rare old pieces of equipment to the newest thing on the market. I
Sure.
mean, it's crazy.
I could say he's been, and the other nice thing about that is also he's owned a gym for over 25 years. So
Mhm.
when he talks to you, if you have questions about like running a gym, not just equipment or like he could tell you because he's had a gym and he's been supplying, leaders of the industry for a super long time.
Right.
Yeah, nothing but great things. So do you make a decision on like like what type of equipment, how many treadmills, how many ellipticals? Are you gonna have a specific tell us about like I know this isn't like this isn't final, but what are you thinking about the layout? Are you gonna have selectorized here or is it all gonna be mixed?
Yeah, so I know I'm sure a lot of people that get in the process of opening a gym will get to the point of equipment where you kind of decide, different maybe themes and distributors and all that. And I think one thing that I'm seeing a lot of gyms doing now, which I know a lot of people ill advise of it, is they'll just go for the aesthetic of the equipment and, on a budget. And I'm seeing a lot of people kind of get their equipment from China, like the Alibaba, and it might look all nice and flashy and everything's gonna match, like, if you want, like, straight all black equipment. But I think a lot of that, I mean, first of all, I've been to gyms like that, and just the mechanics of those machines, they look cool, but everything just feels awkward, it doesn't move right, and they just break easily. So I think a lot of people might be tempted to go that route, and I probably was, at first, just because it looks nice, and you could probably get that for even sometimes cheaper than used name brands that we're
Sure,
used to. But I think the biggest thing is honestly for people to probably stay away from that because also, your equipment is one of your biggest assets in a gym, and you want something that's going to hold values. Just thinking of it as a business, it's a lot,
sure.
safe investment. So I'm looking at the route of, you know, going with Steven and getting a mix of new and used equipment because I'm sure any all these brands, as well as if they're well maintained, it doesn't matter how old they are. They're great machines. They're going to last for generations. So I think it's definitely, a good thing, especially, like save money, go with the more used equipment. And then if you, have some other pieces you want to fill in there that are newer, that'd be
Sure.
great. And
Well, you see the bearings on those like
oh
the
yeah.
more expensive. It's like I mean, don't get me wrong. If I'm in a retirement community and like people are going to sign up, never use it, and the average person is like 55 and older, whatever. Or if you're like have like an apartment gym that like nobody uses, they just have a gym to a gym, it's not going to matter. But if you're going to
Mhm.
have like people working out, your thought it could be correct because nobody wants equipment that's down at a 24-hour gym. That's like the number. If you look at reviews, that's where people write 1-star reviews. If you have equipment, they won't even give you a chance to have it fixed. Like I've
Mhm.
ordered gym parts from like gympart.com or whatever. It takes like a couple days for the gym part to come in, then the tech's got to
Mhm.
fix it or you have to fix it. Some people after like 2 days of equipment broken, 1-star review, equipment's always broken. It's like, dude,
Mhm.
relax. It's been 2 days. But
Right.
equipment like a Life Fitness, Hammer Strength, a Matrix,
Mhm.
whatever, like you can see the bearings are like that big and they're
Right.
thick and there's no way they're breaking.
Yeah. So I'm looking at stuff like that, and I just think again, it's a much safer investment for the long run. And I'm looking at my first question to Steven, because again, my initial envision was just all the new aesthetic everyone's doing, where everything's blacked out, all the equipment, the walls, the ceilings, and when I had my first conversation with him, I quickly learned that you're not going to find used equipment, you know, that's all the same color, and especially because most older equipment wasn't really made in that black color. But I strayed away from that because after speaking with Steven, because he was saying how he can, put you together a gym where he keeps neutral tones. And again, like I think people have to remember, just don't get all caught up in this one idea you have. And just kind of, especially go with Steven. I mean, I think I could put a lot of trust in him because he's done this so many times. But yeah, he was saying how he'll kind of keep neutral tones. And my gym, some of the color I want is red. So I'll probably have some neutrals and then some reds. And yeah, I think it's more important, focus on the equipment itself. And then maybe later on, as the gym grows, you can kind of exchange pieces and if you want to slow it
Sure,
down out. But yeah, no,
sure,
I think that's great to go, use some new and just get good quality equipment that's going to last, even if you have to get even a little less of it up front. And yeah, for my gym specifically, I'm looking for it's at first I was all caught up in the idea of, I wanted that like hardcore powerlifting, functional trainers and bodybuilding gym and all that. And then, especially speaking with you, I mean, I'm learning that's 2% of the average gym goer. And when, again, from a business standpoint, which you got to always think of it as, because, it's got to be successful or it's not going to stay open. It just didn't seem like it made much sense for me to go that route. But also, I didn't want to go in there and just feel like any big box gym. I wanted to stand out. So I'm kind of formulating an idea now where you have your main area with your selectorized equipment and some of your plate loaded machines. But I want to make sure I have, you know, nice barbells, power racks, and stuff that those power lifters will, appreciate that they wouldn't find at your normal big box gym. And I'll probably
sure,
throw one combo rack in the corner with calibrated plates just to make those, that group happy. And again, it's
sure,
not taking up much space. I'm just talking one rack because also no gym in my area has that right now. So that's something that would make this gym stand out from others. So I think that's
sure,
still important to have that. But I think after speaking with you and Steven, it's kind of helped me get, in the right direction of don't be too much of this niche in this direction, but also, I don't want to be a Planet Fitness or something like that. So
sure.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So where Planet Fitness just goes for like someone like my parents, they just
Mhm.
want to sign up, pay, never go, right? So that's why they have like 4 of the same shoulder machines, 4 of the same back machines, 4 of the same, leg presses. And so like, Planet Fitness is a great if somebody's going to stick with it, they're great starting gyms for a gym like yours because somebody will graduate in 3 or 4 months and look for a gym like yours to sign up where that person may have never even walked into your gym, but because of Planet Fitness, they felt safer to do that. So I always don't dog
Mhm.
other gyms. If there's something out there that gets you off the couch and gets you moving, I'm always supportive, especially if that person ends up sticking with it. It's only a matter of time before they sign up to a gym like yours because they're going to look
Mhm.
to keep graduating. But yeah, I always try to tell people, don't make your gym all of one thing. Like if you're going to try a new fad or a new thing, I'm not saying bodybuilding is fad, by the way. I'm just saying like
Mm.
back in the day, kettlebell workouts were all the gym and people were just building 100% kettlebell workout gyms. Whereas like I would have kept it a regular gym and make 20% of the floor a kettlebell space because that's the new thing, you know? So if that ever goes away, I can just take that space and put machines there or something, you know?
Right.
But I know even my gym, one of the gyms that I work out now, they have it's just regular gym, but the dumbbells will go up a little bit higher.
Mhm.
And they even have a back room where it's just they have a bench press. So for people that do want to lift super heavy, there's a small little space for those people, you know. But I'm a firm believer in separating like a cardio room by itself and then selectorized by itself, and then free weights by itself,
Mhm.
and then you have your obviously your plate loaded equipment all by yourself. And I know there was a gym, I forget which one it was. It was pretty cool how they had it set up where all the back machines had gray padding, all
Mm.
the leg presses were like black padding, just so somebody that's brand new that walked in, there was a sign on there that said, "Hey, this color pad, it does this machine. This color pad does this
Mm.
machine." And you could see it on people's faces, like
Right.
instantly, like, "Oh, instead of this just being a sea of equipment, now this is all starting to make sense. Today's back day. Let me stick to just the gray padded equipment."
Mhm.
So I thought that was pretty clever. And if you I think if I'm mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we say that we were going to have like a heavy workout pit area for yours for those people? Was that what you were talking about with the Smith press?
Yeah, so, initially, I was gonna actually have a separate room framed off for it,
Oh,
and
got it.
yeah, and I'm kinda learning now, I think it's best just to have its own, little corner and all that and still, leave it open with the rest of your other, bench press and other
Don't make them
yeah.
like a zoo.
No, yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I wanted to have an area like that, and then the last thing I didn't get to, well, of course, your cardio section, which is gonna have, your stairmasters, ellipticals, treadmills, different bikes, and the last thing I also wanted to have was a nice, turf section where you can, do your sled pulls and agility drills, and I think a lot of people honestly just get drawn to it, even if someone's just going on the ground to do abs for whatever reason, people always wanna do it on the turf, so I think it's another nice thing to have in your gym, to draw more people in.
Sure. I mean, don't forget your leg equipment. I mean, I would say half of the people that are in my gym that are doing pretty solid workouts would be girls. Like I know some of them, that's all they do is every day is the leg equipment, whether it be on the booty builder or just like the hack squat machine or whatnot. So I can say that's probably the biggest change in the past, probably at least 5 to 7 years was
Mhm.
gyms had to quit a couple like there was gyms that had everything, but a lot of gyms that were just mom and pop gyms, it would be sparse for leg equipment. Now a lot of gyms are going all in, making sure they have like pretty well to do with leg stuff, or at least like a booty builder or something like that.
I think that's exactly right, and that's another reason why I feel like now is, such a great time because I think in that '80s era, women weren't really working out as much, and I also feel like that was a time people didn't even think weightlifting was healthy for you. So, getting into the early 2000s, people were starting to realize, oh, wait, this is good for you. Your bone mineral density, stability, of course, strength, everything. And like you said, last 5 to 7 years, not only is everyone realizing it's healthy, but women are getting into it. So now it seems like everybody, every demographic is doing it. So, and it's actually what's interesting is my dad's a financial advisor and he came across this study that the bank did that was showing, it was called, I believe it was bar stools to barbells that showed my generation specifically now is actually choosing gyms over bars for socialization, which
Yep.
that's another, good standpoint for this day and time.
They're smoking less. I don't see young kids smoking cigarettes.
Mhm.
I mean, like, sometimes you'll see them vaping, whatnot, but, like, cigarettes? Mm-mm. I would say I would even go farther, like, drinking has probably plummeted also. Yeah, health and fitness has shot up. Even back in the day when people in the gym, they they would just wear workout pants. Like half of the guys, half of the gym bros just skipped leg day.
Mhm.
Now everybody's hitting it exactly the way you should, and it's just awesome. Like I said, I've never seen a gym boom like this ever. If you ever think about opening a gym, 100% now's the time. Don't wait a couple years. Be like, I should have opened it before. Like now's the time to catch this wave for sure.
I mean, especially too, I feel like the biggest thing for people is that first execution stage, I mean, it just you literally just have to make the move. The hardest thing is going from nothing to making that first move, like we were talking about with the LLC. But I think once you just get moving on it, I mean, you just build momentum, do a little bit. You don't have to do a lot. There's a lot of steps, but if you just take it a day at a time, it's really not that bad. And of course, there's a lot of risk with running a business, but I think the reward you'll get from it is just astronomical in that ratio.
With no risk, there's no reward, right? So
Exactly.
you have to take it. And like you're saying, the LLC took you probably half an hour to set up. To get a business checking account, it takes probably half an hour to set up. The one that you do have to go ahead is, why don't you tell everybody, like, to get an SBA loan, because those can take a while to get approved. So how long has it been for you? What was your experience? Was there anything that, if you could have jumped in a time machine and did it over, what would you have done different?
Yes, I think the biggest is for the banks for getting that SBA loan is to not don't reach out to any banks at all until you have, a solid financial projections plan, solid business plan, and just make sure all your paperwork's, good and ready to go. Because I think at first, I kind of had my rough drafts and I got excited and I sent it off to some banks and where things didn't go as well. And I think, of course, you blew your chances with them. You can't go back with different numbers and different business plan. So I think if I for some of those banks, for all I know, if I would have had my final drafts and presented it to them, maybe it would have went better. So I think the biggest thing is to get the two biggest things would be your business plan and your financial projection, because those are the two things that banks, care the most about within your business.
Sure.
And I think if once you have those together, then reach out to as many banks as you can, because it's a long process. And for you, it's not a lot of work. It's mainly, their underwriting stages. It's a matter of you telling them what you're thinking, giving them all your stuff and just waiting, which could take, a month or two. So I think the biggest thing I could say is just reach out to as many banks as possible. Because if you're going to wait on one bank and it takes a month or two for them to get back to you and they can't go through with it, then you're restarting your whole process. So I think, yeah, once you have a good plan and you're ready to present it to the banks, just reach it out, as many banks as possible. Because also another thing is it seems intimidating reaching out to a bank, but one thing I think that's important to know is the lender, they're there to sell the loan and they're actually on your side because, you know, I graduated college just a little over a year ago. So in my head, I was almost thinking that was like your professor and your documents is, your test and they're going to grade it good or not. But basically, you present it to them and a lot of times, like, they'll come back with the revisions and they want to help you. They're actually on your side. It's pretty much you and them against the underwriters. So I
Sure.
think that's another thing is just to not be intimidated with it. And yeah, just start the process. And because again, it could take a while. So I think just like the first step, it's just that the execution phase of it. Just don't be afraid to, put your stuff out there to all these other banks.
I wonder if, like, the banks that you said you may have blew your shot, if you would tell them, but would they even care if you were like, "Hey, look, I hired a consultant. We redid my business plan." Do you think they would even care, or the underwriters, it is what it is?
That'd be interesting. I think with the lender, you think you'd have a good chance, and you probably could, present your case better again. I think it's always going to hurt you a little bit, just because of that first reaction from it. But I think you probably would have a chance. But yeah, and things have been going better. I think I told you over the phone before though, the bank that was the most promising for me, I was able to, go through it and get approved and all that. But it was like the day of, they changed their policy where they wanted minimum 30% down and 20% post close liquidity. Just, of course, they want to make sure they're not bankrupting you, but they're pretty much their standards were much higher than the average. Because with the SBA loan, it's government backed, the minimum requirements is 10% down on that. So, they were triple over that. So that's why I'm, looking around for other options now. Just to be kind of financially smart in a way, just, you know what I mean? To put triple the amount down that I'm really required to, that, that could be, a huge loss of upfront capital that, I could be crucial for my business.
Well, that's why pre-sales is so important. Why I try to tell
Mm.
people, like, you need to have a pre-sales before you, because starting grand opening, which is 0 members, is so stressful. Like,
Mhm.
it's every day. you're just stressed out, like, "Oh, nobody came in today," or 3 people came in today, or whatever. Like, you have to have a running start where my Facebook is open at least 3 months before, and we have a phase 1 pre-sales going for a special rate. Phase 2, the grand opening, not just have a sign that says grand opening, but constantly on social media, maybe throw out ads like, "Hey, we're gonna have free food. There's gonna be, balloons, prizes, whatever." Like, have that grand opening be as big as humanly possible, and
Mhm.
you extend that phase 3 presale rate to grand opening day and have it end on that day, so there's a little bit of a sense of urgency for as many signups on grand opening as well. Before we get into how you're gonna do pre-sales, you found out about builder tenant improvement money,
Oh, yeah.
recently. So, I don't think you knew about it. So, tell everybody what you found out because some people, it's their first place. They don't know about that
Mhm.
and how you can use it and how you thought you would have to spend your own money on fixing the place.
Right. Yeah, no, so this was something that I was ignorant in, but I was, blessed to find out it was for the better. So the tenant improvement allowance, it makes a lot of sense because you don't own the space, your landlord does. And all the improvements you're gonna do to their space, whenever you're gone in the future, that if they're gonna stay with them, like if your locker rooms and bathrooms, whatever physical things that stay with the building, obviously not your equipment, but so looking back on it, it makes sense. But I heard about it before, and I was somehow I was thinking it's like maybe 10 or 15,000 dollars, and in my exact case, just based off of your average, price per square foot that you're getting for it and the square footage of the buildings, I'm looking at more around like $180,000 for tenant improvement allowance, which is, and again, that's an allowance from the landlord you can use for your build out. And that's just something that I was very pleased to find out. But yeah, I think that's definitely something to consider when you're doing your budgeting and the initial phase of it all. Cause that's an extra, $160,000 than I thought I was going to get. So
And you didn't even negotiate that. That wasn't because back in the like, you were able to negotiate your TI budget. That was just the first offer they gave you, right?
that was in my car agent. And I kind of
Oh,
made
okay, he negotiated
it.
for you.
Yeah. So it's still, up in the air, but that was just going off of what's the going rate. And another great thing to negotiate, of course, is your free rent because that can be huge. I mean, you know,
Yep.
I feel like I'll just guess right now, but the average rent people are going to be is, could be between 10 and 20,000. So you times that by, let's just say 6 months. I mean, that's a lot of money. And especially, the hardest phase from your gym is I would say 0 to 6 months from when you open the doors. Cause that's when you have, the least amount of people and you're probably gonna be struggling a little more. And I think once you can get past that 6 month phase and have it be more sustainable, then you just keep having a good product, good customer service, keep a clean facility, and you're golden. But
Would they negotiate 6 months free rent?
yeah, 6 months free rent, and basically, I'm anticipating a 3 month build out phase, and then so that would cover 3 months of that, and then 3 months operation, which
Sure.
would and it's all up in the air, but that'd be an ideal situation, especially for a business starting off.
See, I tell people I like 6 months free rent is pretty standard, and, like, people that don't go or it's their first time and they don't use a company like Car,
Mhm.
they swear up and down, "No, I got 3 months and that's good," because it's either one or the other. You get builder TI or free rent. I'm like, I'm not sure if that's how it works." I mean, I know every place is different, but,
Right.
6 months free rent used to be standard. It's glad to see they still got that for you, plus a good healthy chunk for the TI improvement. So, if once everything goes down, you get that TI improvement, what's the first thing you're doing with that money?
So the first thing is, I've been actually meeting with the GC for the build out now, and just working on bidding and all that. But I would say the first thing would be the, the down payment on that lease and all that. I believe this one would be a month's rent, so of course I'll need it for that, and just starting out the process with the GC for the build out. And again, a lot of that's going to be in the improvements with the landlord, but there's a lot of stuff, I'm going to have to get like the turf and rubber flooring and mirrors, and even starting to meet with Steven on equipment and all that. So that, that'll be the bulk of it up front.
Did he recommend like a certain size thickness for the floor? Because I know some people will like get like super thin one and you see like the bubbles, or I know that could also be from the flooring not put down right. What did he recommend for you to do for the flooring? I know part turf and rubber.
Yeah, so as far as the rubber goes, it's actually funny you say that because I was planning on asking him that same question because I know there's, different millimeter thicknesses that people are going with, and my biggest question I would have that I don't know the answer to is, can you get away with a thinner rubber, on your selectorized and plate loading machines and Smith machine area, and maybe go to a thicker rubber where weights are actually gonna be dropped, like your dumbbell section and all that, or do you just stick with the same thickness all around? So
Yeah.
there's stuff like that, and I know some people have issues with certain rubbers where you peel back and there's mold underneath, and I've seen companies where they have these little divots in it that, raises it off the floor so it can breathe. So that's another question I was gonna see if he knows, good brands for that rubber flooring that's gonna, allow it to breathe so you don't get that buildup of moisture underneath.
I would say if you're in a like if there's a separate if there's like a transition. So if like let's say there's
Mhm.
a separate room that you were going to use for an ab room and it's not touching anything else, then you could probably use thinner rubber for that. But normally if it's all one level, you're going to see that it's not the floor is not going to be level if you're using
Right.
thicker, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I would say either do that or another possibility you could do. I know some people will just do stained concrete, but I don't know what would be it all depends what construction is in your area for what's cheaper than the other. Like the stained concrete doesn't stain. I mean, it's concrete, and some of it looks fantastic. And then some
Mhm.
gyms will, I've seen the ones rubber looks fantastic. They get the little
Right.
color that matches their theme and has either the blue or whatever flakes inside the rubber. Were you thinking about doing all black or were you going to do like the color inside the the rubber?
So for my brand, the main colors are black and red, but I didn't wanna go, too heavy on the red, but I was kinda thinking that same sort of thing you're talking about, black rubber with some red flakes in it.
Yeah.
And back to what I was saying before about, my initial idea was black this, blacked out everything, it looks cool and all that. But I think it was interesting, what you said on our last phone call about, how black absorbs most of the light. And that's
Yep.
why a lot of these gyms you go to, it looks cool and stuff, but you go in there and you can barely even see someone's face standing in front of you. And yeah, it requires, twice the amount of lighting, which, of course is more money. And I think what I'm gonna do now is I'll do it more in like an accent wall, and or maybe maybe I'll leave the ceiling white to help reflect light down,
Yeah.
and our wall is black. But that's the sort of thing I've been playing around with now because again, my initial plan was just all the same color, but I think it's nice. And going back to the multicolored equipment, I used to think that I didn't want to go up there and have my gym look like a yard sale. That's what I was afraid of. And again, Steven was aware of that, and he was explaining to me again. He'll choose your neutral colors. You'll have some blacks, maybe some silvers, maybe some whites, and then of course I want to throw some reds in there just for my specific brand. But
Sure.
yeah, no, I think that looking at that now, I think it's a much better option because also it's nice to have that contrast. Even if you have these different machines, you're able to pop more. And just based off the gyms I've been to, I think it's a nice aesthetic to have.
Sure. Yep. So, have you thought any too much? Because the next step is, once the loan's approved, you start going. You could start making money with it with pre-sales. Have you
Mhm.
thought about like how long you're going to do it? You can do a 3 months pre-sale, or what? Like, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, so just going off what you were saying, I was thinking about doing the 3-month pre-sale. And right now I'm just debating if I do it in like 3 or 2 phases because I know you recommended 3 phases. I'll just have to think about how I would, formulate the pricing. But I think I love your idea behind your price structure in the pre-sale because the biggest thing you want to kind of create is that FOMO. You don't want people to feel like they're going to miss out this once in a lifetime opportunity for your specific gym, where they can lock in a lower rate for life in different aspects like that. And I think that that's something that's great to have, to get just bodies in your gym up front because even if you're giving it away at a crazy discount, you know, they're going to stay with you for a while, especially because if they leave, they lose that rate. And, they're going to bring many referrals along with them if you have a nice facility. So I love
Sure.
the idea behind that model of that pre-sale structure at the discounted rate.
Yep. And when you call it like founding memberships pre-sale,
Mhm.
like they're like, I was a founding member, like means something to people that a lot of people that join gym because a lot of people when they join gym, it's almost like family for them. So
Right.
to be like, I was here from the very beginning, like they're with you for life. And it's not even like giving away. Look at Planet Fitness where it's 10, $15. That's giving it away. And
Mhm.
I wouldn't, laugh at what those gyms make. Like some of those gyms
Mhm.
make $125,000 a month just from their dues tap alone. So like, am I gonna have a Planet Fitness? No, but like I just want you to know, like on pre-sales, yes, we're gonna lower it a little bit, but
Mhm.
it's not like they're with you for life. I would say
Right.
a good 80% because it has that built-in retention. So yeah, 3 month, you don't have to do a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It's just the how long you're gonna do it for, and some people do it all different. There's no right or wrong way. Some people will do, "Hey, for the first 150 members gets this." Some people will say, "For the first 50 members, they get this rate." For then they'll start phase 2 for the 50 to 100. It's all different, and there's no right or wrong. It's just how you could get it across to your customers that makes the best sense for them to say, "That's a good deal. I'm not gonna even think twice about busting out my credit card, charge it."
Right. And one thing actually I was thinking of, I haven't spoken with you about. This is something I've actually never seen gyms do before personally. But what do you think about the idea of saying, let's just say first 100 members enter to win a free lifetime membership. So only giving that away to one person. So it
Sure.
seems like you're giving away a lot, but again, it's just you're missing on those fees from one person. But I think the amount of traction you would get from something like that could be kind of cool. And again, I haven't seen it done before, but I mean, if I'm in an area kind of thinking about switching gyms and I see I have a chance to win a gym membership for my lifetime for free, I mean, that's something I would hop on personally. So, what are your
Sure.
thoughts on an idea like that?
I think I'll say when we get off here, I'll send you an article. So one of my other clubs that I'll talk like me and you were talking.
Mm.
He separated from a franchise and went to his own name, and he needed to get a lot of people back. And I suggested a giveaway, and one of the first giveaway was a TV. So if you sign up, you got 2 raffle tickets. If you just come and work out, just check in during business hours, you got a raffle ticket. If
Mm.
you referred somebody, you got a raffle ticket to sign up. And at the end of the month, it worked so well that the next month in July, he ended up buying like this super expensive grill from Home
Mhm.
Depot, like a stainless steel, awesome one. And he ended up doing another one. So I would do I that great thinking out of the box. It does work. I would do a couple. I would probably but, like, look at Sam's Club. You could get a 65-inch TV for $450 today, right?
Right.
I would do a lifetime membership. I would do maybe a TV giveaway, and then 3rd place, I don't know, a free car work a deal out. Try to do trade outs. Do you have any, like, car wash places nearby or
Mhm.
anything?
Oh yeah,
Do
there's plenty of them.
do trade outs. Say, "Hey, I'm gonna have a huge grand opening. We're gonna One of the prize giveaways is gonna be a lifetime membership, a TV, and then I was wondering if you wanted to, like, for us to put your name out there on grand opening, if you wanted to donate a car wash, well, we're just gonna give it away. We're gonna have your name on there. There's gonna be a ton of people at grand opening. It's free publicity for you for the price of a car wash." I guarantee you, you don't even have to pay for it.
Yeah, no, and that's a great idea. I think co-marketing could be a great resource, especially when in the beginning when funds will be a little low. That's something that doesn't really cost you anything because you and the other business will both be benefiting from it. So I think that is a great idea.
I could tell you right now, car washes, and if you know what, if that car dealership, if they can't think outside the box, I want you to call a mobile car wash guy because I've done this at my gym. I did it I just did it because every other day I would get my truck cleaned, but the deal was I would let him wash the cars in the parking lot. And I would say, I would have it on there. Hey, if you're doing cardio, you could just drop your keys off and, Armando will wash your car while you're doing cardio and you get to go in a brand new clean car on your way home. And it worked out. A lot of people liked it.
Mhm.
But I guarantee you, if you do have a car wash, they'll do a trade out. Look for a lot of other things to do trade outs as well. If you have a food store, maybe a Jersey Mike's, I don't know, they're a franchise. But if you have mom and pop food stores, especially if they're healthier stores, you might be able to get trade outs. They may even come down to your grand opening and you know, give them a table. One of the grand openings that we used to do, I would, call food places and say, "Hey, we're having a grand opening." This is back long time ago. This is at my 24-hour fitness days. I had to call food vendors and like I had no budget and you had to call. I would say, "Hey, this is Anthony with so and so. We're having a huge grand opening for the Andre Agassi Club. We have one vendor table left. I was wondering if you wanted it. You get to come down, your banner, and you know, basically put food out. There's going to be thousands of people out there, free publicity for you." And everyone said, "Yeah, absolutely." Not everyone, but a lot of people did.
Yeah, and I think that could be huge. And another thing I'm looking at for with the grand opening is kind of hearing, what you were saying earlier is I think it'd be cool to have, some food catered from a local restaurant. And maybe you could, again, work out a deal with them because, they're getting their publicity out. And maybe even like I know some people do a DJ, but yes, something just to draw people in like that would be cool.
Absolutely. Another one would be a bouncy. Like if you could get anything that's going to draw people into the where the gym parking lot is.
Hmm.
So look up to see if there's party places that sell those bouncy house castle things and
Hmm.
say, "Hey, we're having a huge grand opening. If you want to put your bouncy house castle with a huge banner on the side of it promoting your business that says rent me or whatever, it's going to cut the costs of half. By all means, I'm willing to work with you." I think one of them we gave it was a mom and pop one, and we gave like the family a lifetime membership or something. They did it for free. You know, trade outs are your friend. You could give trade outs for anything if it's going to help you with business.
Right. Yeah, no, that's cool. And I was going to ask you, what's your idea on just for certain like member policies? What is your go-to policy as far as like for cancellations? Because that's another thing I'm trying to work on right now. I'd be curious, picking your brain on how that kind of works. 'Cause I know a lot of gyms just say 30-day cancellation, but what does that really mean?
It's just their own rule. Like our software doesn't care. You could cancel somebody the day before their bill date, it'll cancel them off.
Okay.
I'm under the belief of like, if you want to have a 30-day notice, you're just like everyone else. When people, especially if they're first time like signing up to a gym, or a lot of people are scared to walk into a gym. That's why they have to wait till that January because that's when they build up the most courage because everyone else is
Mhm.
doing it. You know, people that don't know what they're doing, they are deathly scared of walking into a gym. That's why they do some of them go to the Planet. So how can I
Mhm.
be different than all these other places? Well, one, if you want to cancel, make it easy. You know, don't make them. Some of these places you have to sign certified letter and mail it to this, and all this other stuff. I always tell gym owners, think like a customer.
Mhm.
If you are trying to cancel something, how how annoying is that? Like when you call your cable company, or if you call this and they're keeping you making you jump through hoops to
Right.
cancel, it puts a bad taste in your mouth. So I would be, well, let's turn it back to you. The gyms in the area, are they all 30-day notices or some different?
The well majority of them are 30-day notices.
I would be the first one that has a 1 week notice,
Yeah. That's a good idea
7
too.
days.
But back to what you're saying, to think like the customer. I found it really interesting how we left our call last time when I was asking you, do I do for a 12-month commitment for the membership, or do I just do a month to month? And of course, if you're a customer going into the gym, you're gonna be more drawn to that month to month because you're not committed to paying X amount for this amount of months with having to
Sure.
have a fee to cancel early. And I found it interesting on the psychology behind it, like you were saying, that the average 12-month commitment was what did you say it was like
10 to 11 months. They stay like today. Contracts gym contracts. First of all, they're not even like really enforceable really anymore. And young kids today don't even care. There's apps that you can go on and just boop, stop charging my card. Right.
Mhm.
And what are you going to do? You're going to take them to collections? Like, sure, you have that ability to, and then you have somebody else that's really angry at you now and it's probably going to sing from the rooftops how you or scam them or whatnot. But this is the thing. If you want to sell 12-month contract, I'm not saying they're a bad thing. I'm just saying give the customer a choice. Make it be clear. We definitely have a month-to-month option.
Mhm.
If you feel like, hey, I'm going to commit. I know I'm going to be here for 12 months. Fine. Have have a 12-month option that's going to lower the monthly dues by $10
Mhm.
a month. And then maybe have one other option that's a prepaid for 12 months. And that's where I would call it quits. That's the most I
Right.
would have. These places that have a 3-month, a 6-month, you're making it so crazy on the eyes for these brand new gym people that you know what they're going to say? I have to think about it because
Mhm.
those people will look for any excuse not to sign up. to feel good about not signing up. I say it over and over and over again because it's true. And if that person, it's usually statistics show it takes about 6 months for that person to walk through your door.
Hmm.
If they walk out without a membership, it's probably going to be another 6 months to a year before they come back, unless something was life-changing event in their life. Like an accident happened, they got a stroke, I don't know, they got really embarrassed, something. Otherwise, it's usually about another 6 months for them to walk into another gym and sign up.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think too, like you were saying, just keep it simple because also, a lot of people are impulsive and they want a fast process. And another reason why, like your software, when you were showing me just how streamlined it is, and if you have any difficulties, applying, for a gym and all that to get a membership, any hiccups you have, if you're already kind of hesitant, you're just like, oh, I'm just going to do this tomorrow. You're not going to do
Exactly.
it tomorrow. So I think that's great, just to have fewer options and a nice, fast, streamlined system just to get people in there as soon as possible.
Yep. You saw it when I was showing you. It takes about less than a minute. You basically you can either have a loose iPad at the desk, or you could have an iPad fixed like a kiosk. And I'm under the belief personally, if you're around at the facility, if you're there or you have an employee there, you should do a nice meet and greet. You should ask the customer what was the last gym they were a member of. Start the tour process to show the equipment. Hey, this is where I selectorized equipment before. Have you ever used a piece of selectorized equipment before? Oh yeah, I've used it before. Here's a piece of, our cardio. Have you ever used one of these things before? No, I haven't. Here, let me just show you real quick, just to show you. Also, while you're working out, after you sign up today, if you have any questions, just ask for Anthony at the front desk. I'm more than happy to help you how to use anything. That makes the biggest difference in the world than when somebody walks in and just says, hey, what are your prices?
Mm.
When somebody just walks in and just says, hey, what are your prices? Chances are you're either some places will have a laminated piece of paper, or person will go, oh, okay, I'll be back. There's nothing tying them to signing up. There's no feelings involved.
Mhm.
So doing that tour process and asking those questions make them remember, why did I walk through that gym? It's how long have they been thinking about, doing this? How long, and finding out what their goals are. And because if you do that, now when you show the prices, they have it in their head. Okay, today's the day I start doing this. Makes a big difference doing a tour.
Yeah.
If you have that ability of somebody to be at the gym. Not every gym has that ability. And that's the case where our digital key tags come in handy, where
Mhm.
some of our gyms have no employees at all. People just walk up to the door, scan a QR code, pick the membership, and use their phone to check in. But everyone runs their gym differently. There's no right or wrong way. It's just a matter
Right.
of how you're able to. Because a lot of these gyms that I'm seeing opening up, it's not the person's main source of income. Like they have another job. This is just like their hobby, or they've always wanted to open up a gym. It's like their side thing.
Right. And yeah, going back to that, I think it's a great idea to put a face to the business too when you're giving them a tour, because having that personal connection is going to be something that people consider. If they're going to your gym and another gym comes into town, or you know they're weighing their options about switching memberships to a different facility. I think that's great to have that personal touch, because then when you build that relationship, it's not just your facility; it's like you in that facility, and building those connections, I think is huge just for retention, to build, keep people there. And another reason, is just for the whole community aspect of it. Like I was saying earlier, many people are socializing at the gyms and all that nowadays. So I think it's huge just to have someone, present, just to be there and ask you how your day is. Like, someone could be coming into your gym with a bad day, and if you can do anything to put a smile on their face, I think that's going to be huge. Just for the image of your business and your gym and all that.
Absolutely. Some people, no, I'm not joking you. There were some customers that I know would come in just because I would they would talk to me more than they work out. You're going to see that. You're going to see that there's people, and it's kind of sad, but that's why I say your gym is, to a lot of these people, your gym is like your family. So I
Mhm.
would do things that the other gyms don't, because that's going to make you successful. And I always say that with anything in life. People are successful because they're willing to do the things that others aren't willing to do. In the summer, maybe you can bring a barbecue grill and have a barbecue or something for 4th of July or something like that for the customers that want to have it in the parking lot. And you'd be so surprised how many other members want to help out and make it even better with things like that. So I'm glad, and tell everybody again how old you are, because so many people want to open up a gym. They have all these excuses of why they don't open up a gym. Tell everyone how old you are.
Yeah, I'm 23 years old and only been out of college about a year.
There you go. And you're literally at the last leg of the step to where we could start doing pre-sales. So again, we're going to do another gym owner podcast once your gym has grand opened, because I can't tell everyone how many times people will call me up to say, "Hey, I'm just getting prices. I'm thinking about opening up a
Mm.
gym," and that person never does anything. It's
Right.
always take the first step. And I wanted to do this podcast with you so you can tell everyone, and the steps aren't even that bad. They're not that
Oh, no.
difficult.
And again, like, of course, you have to, know the risks behind it. But
Right.
if you're fine, to take that chance, it's really not that bad. It just, again, execution is probably the hardest part of it. And once you kind of just get started with the process of it, I mean, just have a good plan, and you'll get through it in no time. And I mean, of course, I'm still in the middle of it, but just based off how things are going, it just seems like as long as you have a good plan, you just do a little bit every day, just something to put you in the right direction. I mean, it's really not that bad at all.
Yep. But if you happen to watch this video and you weren't fortunate enough to like have a Steve Harvalis that gave you good advice, or someone like myself that would tell you to call these places, that's why I made this video. If you watch it, call Carr, call call me. I'd be happy to, even if you don't end up going with us for Gym Insight software, I'd be happy to point you in the right
Mhm.
direction. I've been helping people for so long. I just want to see people follow through with this, and I love seeing new gyms open. And I know the running a gym is the most fun you could have and make money with it
Mhm.
being legal.
Yeah. And I think just getting back, I want to reiterate, that list I made just one last time, because I think that's the biggest thing that I couldn't find when I initially started the whole process. I didn't know at what step I needed that LOC, the EIN, any of that. So I
Yep.
think, just to set it in stone, just starting off with that LOC, which then allows you to have that EIN, then you can start. And then one thing I didn't put in here is that's when you can, well, technically you can start, your business plan and financial projections well ahead of that. And I even went ahead and made an Excel sheet, kind of just, it was straight up revenue and expenses just to calculate profits, because it has to be a viable business if you're going to do it. And I was kind of just playing around with the numbers. It's cool because once you figure out, your expenses, which through my experience, the expenses are a lot easier to, you know, take a guess on than your revenue, because they're kind of fixed. Whereas your revenue, you don't know how many memberships you're going to have and all that sort of stuff. But once I had that down, then I can get an idea of what if I had X amount of members at this membership. How many do I need to break even? Does this seem feasible in a reasonable amount of time? So I think that was a great tool to have. But once you get through making your business plan and your financial projections, which one last thing with the business plan, if you have a small business development center near you, that's one thing I didn't speak on. They're another great resource to have. Like Car, they're completely free for you. The SBDC is just paid for in taxes. But I'm actually, just in case the current banks I'm working with fall through, I'm currently working with two advisors from there,
Mhm.
and they're again, they're completely free. They're actually volunteers, and they're actually helping me, with my projections and my business plan, just fine tuning it, making sure it's good, and to present you with the banks. And they have their own contacts of banks that they're actually gonna, you know, do the introductions for you. So I think that's another good resource that if you have a.
How'd you get in touch with them? Tell everyone how you got in touch with them. How can they find those?
So I had one of my lenders. They were saying two different resources that they highly recommended, and that one was the SBDC, and then they were like, if you want to do on your own, you can go to Score. I believe it's score.org to find templates for financial projections and business plans. And so I initially did that, and that's how I made my own. But just to have everything going in the right direction for me, I went ahead and reached out to the SBDC and started working with advisors. But yeah, initially just from a bank lender, and that's something that they'd like to see, because it gives the bank a lot more confidence knowing that you've kind of worked with these knowledgeable people in the industry. And yeah, I think that was a huge resource. So again, once you get through the phase of all that, and you have your LS and your EIN, then it's time to present your stuff to the banks to get that loan, and then you can reach out with someone like Carr, which I'd highly recommend to start, shopping around, looking at your options, get that lease, and then yeah, from there, business license, and that's probably a good time to start integrating a gym software like Gym Insight. And
As soon as you get that lease, you're ready to start, pre-selling. Once it's
Mhm,
signed on the dotted line, so immediately, as soon as you sign the dotted line, immediately call for like power. So this way you have a utility bill. Because one of the things a merchant account company needs is like they're either going to have the signed lease that obviously which will work, but also to show that you have power already going there. That thing will be approved like that.
mhm.
And we could start pre-selling, and hopefully on grand opening, we start with a couple hundred members right out the gate on day one. And now everything is icing on the cake after that.
And what would you say your average gym sees in pre-sales? If they do 3 months of pre-sales, what are they seeing on average by grand opening?
It depends. Like I had some people have, 2 to 300, and then I have some people that will gung ho it. And I don't know, what did Gage say he was at? 600, I think, on day one, or pretty
Yeah,
much
that's
his first
crazy.
month. Yeah.
And
So
it's amazing that, not even having a built facility, just having those promos and discounts, it's amazing, what you can how many people you can get to actually join your facility just by that.
you have to have a social media. Actually, you know what? Well, you have to have somewhat of a social media presence. So I remember Devin, the first one that you found, the podcast that you found, he didn't even. I don't think he even did it right because he had a private group, which I do not recommend. That basically means like you have to be accepted to see his link to sign up. I would have it set up to where anybody could see the link. But what
Mhm.
I liked that he followed through with was like when people would sign up, he would give a shout out, you know, hey, we wanted to welcome, you know, Andrew to Lifestyle Fitness, Joe, everybody. And then they saw their name up there. That buyer's remorse is gone. Maybe they'll tell a friend or something like that. But I think honestly, if you did that giveaway, whatever it is, if you just want to stick to like not spending any money, yep, the lifetime membership is fine. You give one of those away. But I would have a first, second, and third place prize. I would
Mhm.
have first place a TV, second place lifetime membership, third place, I don't know, headphones or something, or any. It could even be like, do they have like those pre-prepped meal packages? Do they sell those in your area? Like you see them at gyms?
I actually don't. I mean, I've seen them online, of course, but I don't really see them, physically around here much.
Like Redefine or anything like. So basically, because that would be great if you could get even like a GNC gift card or something,
Mhm.
anything that it's in there. It could be a gym bag, could be third place or
Yeah.
something, you know?
So
But
would you think to do your discounted membership rates and on top of the giveaways, or would you maybe do phase phase 1 is your discount plus giveaways, phase 2, just the discount, your stuff's
so
set.
so you automatically you're entered to win if you show up at grand opening and you already signed up. You could work them all differently. So if you sign up on phase one, you get two entries, right? You sign up on phase two, you get, or no, you could do sign up on phase one, you get three entries. Sign up on phase two, you get two entries. Sign up on phase three, you get one entry, and then if you just come to the grand opening, you get one entry,
Mhm.
on grand opening, just because you want as many people to show up as possible for that day that you open. And don't get down at yourself if your grand opening day isn't hit, because it's almost this subcontract. I mean, I know you're having a GC, but sometimes the GC's plumbers don't show up for a week, which then makes the sheetrock guys can't finish their job. That gets pushed back. So sometimes grand opening dates aren't always hit. So don't get yourself down about that. But have a date. I would rather you schedule a grand opening date where you have a soft opening and then a grand opening, rather than try to like make the grand opening way too early and you miss that date.
Okay, and the soft opening would just be, members
Yeah,
only.
it's just it's you so soft openings are different. Some places will have it where they don't, if they're 24 hours, they don't have the 24-hour running. It's just for
Mhm.
business hours only. And then after grand opening, they'll kick on the 24-hour door system, and then the place is 24/7.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yep. But yeah, I'm so happy for you. I mean, I know it's right around the corner for you. If I was able to wave a magic wand and have your wish be true, what would you like your grand opening day be?
So, I mean, I'd love to get a lease signed. Well, my initial goal was during March. So I'd like to have a lease signed in March. And then, well, the only thing is it depends where it is. Like some leases require, like 60 to 90 days for the current tenants to move out and things like that. So during that phase, I meet with the GC and, get the plans together for the build out. And hopefully in that time, I can even work on getting them approved, by the locality so we
Yep.
can just start working right when it gets out. But I would think 6 months from now would be nice, that allows for if I sign all if I could have a magic wand, sign that lease right now
Yep.
and give let's just say 3 months for current tenant to move out, 3 months for build out. I mean, around September would be cool, but realistically, you know, maybe December, even January, which wouldn't be a bad time to catch the January rush for people going into.
I think that's a worst case scenario. I think you might be able to do it like you might be able to do end of summer. You never know.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, you never know. But I would say like social media presence, social media presence, social media presence that goes hand in hand with a great with a great pre-sale. And I think what you're doing, I would document every part of the way. Even
Mhm.
if it's not just document, even if it doesn't have to do with you having a place right now, you see how what Steve does, put a DJ on a mic and just film 15 minutes of yourself going to the gym, talking about what you're going through for the day to open the gym. Little
Mhm.
things like that would be amazing. So many with the gym boom and as big as it is, I guarantee you at least 50% of the people, it's like they would love to own their own gym. And seeing a 23-year-old like yourself doing the process, I would watch.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's honestly been so fun. It's just that I'm at the point now where there's not much I can do. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting on the banks really and hoping for the best.
But there's gonna be a lot to do coming up once the thing is signed, trust me. I would definitely, I don't know if it's the TikTok or whatnot, but I mean, you saw my little thing. I just DJI headphones, went to the convention. It's easy.
Mhm.
But, I don't know. I would love to have you back on once you are maybe maybe we don't have to wait till grand opening. Maybe we could do it like the middle of pre-sale so you can
Yeah.
let us know how's it working? Did you make any changes? What was good? What did, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I look forward to that.
Perfect. Yeah, I think people that are watching that may be opening up a gym or it's always thought like that's the hard part. What type of memberships did we set up? How did that work? Did I make any
Mhm.
changes or change pricing or anything like that? So, all right. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for your time today. I took a lot more of your time. I thought this was only going to be a half an hour. It ended up being close to an hour and a half. So thanks.
It's all good. No, thank you very much, Anthony. You have a good one.
You got it. Have a great one. Talk to you soon, Andrew. Bye.